Welcome everybody to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show, and today is Fan Friday, the one day of the week where I take it out and I just dedicate it to you, the fans at home. So we do things a little bit different every Friday. I try to get to as many of your NFL, general college football, workout, and of course, Husker football questions as possible. So the show is just a smidge longer each and every week if I'm dedicated to the fans. I'm going to try to get to as many things as I possibly can within reason. And I did something a little bit different this week. I actually decided to ask my family and my closest friends, ask me anything you want. I don't know what they sent, and these are the people that know me best. This is kind of scary. Let's get into it. We're going to start right off the top with the question. This is my sister-in-law, Alicia. Did Oregon recruit you coming out of high school? That's a nice question. Thank you. Thank you. Anyways, yes, they did. They had an offer for me. They wanted me to come play quarterback, and they ended up pulling that offer. Now, as some people may or may not know, I was a quarterback in high school. I didn't play defense till my senior year. I was a much higher recruited as a quarterback than a defensive end. They ended up pulling that scholarship from me. I harbor no hard feelings other than I want the Huskers to whip their rear end sideways this Saturday. All right, and she sent a couple more questions. Do you think you will ever coach in the future? It's a real possibility. The issue I have with that is I want to mix in with the young men. I want to affect their lives, not only on the football field, but off. And so much of your time to do your due diligence as a coach is watching film. I would rather be interacting with the kids than staring at the backsides of their butts all day. Now, that's part of a coaching job. You got to do it. But a strength coach kind of appeals to me. You watch a little bit of film, some technique and whatnot, but you get to interact with the kids so much more. But honestly, I like this show right now, so we'll see what happens. Next up, what is your favorite NFL team? Redskins, Rams, down Cowboys. We obviously know you're great at football. Thank you. What is the talent that you have that most fans don't know about? Other than my modeling good looks? All right. I've never done this publicly before, but I do things on this show I've never done before. I do it quite frequently because this is my show. My wife knows I can do this. I'm not Eminem, but I can freestyle rap just a smidge. Let's see what I can come up with you. Come up for your fine folks at home. All right. You versus me, that's like a cat versus a pit bull. You think you're gonna win, son, you're just thinking wishful. I'll see you in the ring and hand you knockouts by the fistful. Ooh! That's about the best I've ever done. I'm retiring. I'm going out like Money Mayweather. I'm not gonna lie, my heart's beating fast after that. All right, next up is Joe. This is my father-in-law. What is the one rule you would change in football if you could? Targeting rule. It's ridiculous. You got to have player safety, but it's ridiculous the way it is. It's affecting players' careers. It's affecting the outcome of games. Well, Joe, what is the one thing in your football years that is still in your mind and keeps you awake at night? When I went to Nebraska, I wanted to get a ring. National championship, at the time BCS game, Big 12 championship ring. I wanted a ring. Now, I walked away with the ring, and I don't have it on now, but I got married. My wife always makes that joke, but I wanted a ring, and that's the one thing that still bothers me to this day. I'm proud that we got to the title game, but I wanted the ring. All right. My father-in-law, Joe. Is Coach Riley too old? So my father-in-law is not that much younger than Coach Riley. So are you calling yourself old, Joe? With all due respect, if Coach Riley gets this thing righted and going in the right direction, absolutely not. I mean, there are some coaches, Joe Paterno, Bobby Bowden, coached for a very long time. If he doesn't get it righted and go in the right direction, yes, he's way too old. Jacob, my son, why did you decide to play for the Huskers? It was my lifelong dream growing up, buddy. We watched NFL, we watched WWE, I watched basketball. My house lived and died by whether the Nebraska Huskers won or lost. In '99, I'll never forget, they lost to Texas, had the fumbles. They had a bye week afterward, the longest 2 weeks of my entire high school life. That was my dream come true, was run out that tunnel in Memorial Stadium. What did you like playing? Why did you like playing defense over offense? I liked hitting people. It's about that simple. How would you feel if I played at Iowa, CU, or Michigan? Michigan, I could tolerate. CU and Iowa. You ever heard of Chad Ochocinco? You know, his name used to be Chad Johnson, Meta World Peace. You know those guys who changed their last names? Just saying, buddy. Michael Russell, do we have a championship-type receivers? Now, this is actually from Facebook from a week ago. I incorporated these Facebook questions I did not get to a week ago. I like what I saw from Stanley Morgan Jr. DeMornay Pierson-El looks really good. J.D. Spielman. I think we have 3 really good receivers. Yes, I think we have potential there. Benjamin Meyer, who is your favorite Husker to watch as a kid, and which Husker from the past would you like to most have experienced having lined up with next to you on the defense? It was Trev Alberts and Grant Wistrom and Tommy Frazier. Those are my three favorites. To line up next to me, Grant Wistrom, Trev Alberts, pick one, I don't care. Jason Earnhardt, who is your Nebraska Mount Rushmore? It's a good question. Names that just pop into my mind: Johnny Rogers, Tommy Frazier. I'm going to go with Mike Rozier. And then you got to go in the trenches. The three names for that fourth slot would be Sue or Glover or Remington. I would give the slight edge to Rich Glover simply because, I mean, Sue finished fourth in the Heisman voting. Glover finished third. He's a little older. People forget. Sue had a great game in the Big 12 championship game. Glover had over 20 tackles in the game of the century versus Oklahoma, led to a national championship. To me, it's a toss-up. I'd give the edge to Glover. And to decide that fourth slot, let's line them up. Rich Glover versus Dave Remington. Bam, Oklahoma drill. Whoever wins gets the fourth slot. I like that idea. All right, Sean Anderson. Why don't the NFL do something about the lowlife not standing up for the national anthem? And don't say that's what they believe, because Peppers or Colin and Rest never believed in that before. So why don't the NFL find them or tell them you are done for one or more games with no more pay? All right. My stance on the national anthem is this: I would personally stand. I think guys should stand. You have the right not to, but just because you have the right doesn't mean you shouldn't. And also, if we disagree on this, one of the issues I would like to see just progress in this world, period, is the ability to listen to the other side without name-calling or labeling. That's my take on that. Britton, who is the daughter of one of my friends, Brad and Catherine Goings. If you were a princess, who would you be and why? I like Beauty and the... I like Beauty and the Beast, but I would be the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. Because I can't think of another story where I really want to be a guy in there and I don't really want to be a princess. But thank you, Britton, for your question. Lincoln, who was her brother, twin brother, what would your pro wrestling name have been, and what is your signature move? I've always, people have asked me this several times. I've always liked the name Dark Horse, and I'll tell you why. When I came out of high school, as a defensive end, I was not highly recruited. Nebraska wanted me to walk on. I couldn't afford the out-of-state tuition. They called back the next night with a scholarship offer. Coming in, I was not highly recruited, highly rated. I was a fourth-rated defensive end in our recruiting class of a class of 4 defensive ends. When I got there, people said I was too slow. I'd have to move to the offensive side of the ball. I couldn't hack it on defense. And I'll never forget, I'm lifting in the weight room during my redshirt year, and then one of our strength coaches comes up to me and he goes, "You're our dark horse." I go, "What did you just call me?" He goes, "You're our dark horse pick for the wait staff." I go, "Are you insulting me?" I don't know what that means. He goes, "The dark horse is someone that nobody expects anything out of, that is going to surprise everybody." And I've always clung to that. And so I appreciated that. So I've always liked the name Dark Horse. Now, when I tell people that that's what my wrestling name would be, they look at me like I'm just being ridiculous. So if that is just ridiculous, my favorite wrestler of all time is Bill Goldberg. He goes by Goldberg in the ring, so I might go with Carriker. Got a nice ring to it. What would my signature move be? I know the name of that, the Widowmaker. What it would be, I'd put the guy on my shoulders, I'd lift him up, and then I'd jackhammer him like what Goldberg does. So it's a mix of the fireman's carry, the jackhammer, the Widowmaker. All right, Catherine, who is Britton and Lincoln's mother, what is your favorite meal? I actually cook breakfast really well. My parents, every Sunday night, the meal belonged to me. I was in charge of supper. So I actually, cornbread, bacon, eggs over easy, and toast. It's the one thing I cook really, really well. Actually, I cook a lot of breakfast things really well, but that's my favorite right there. Brad, who is Lincoln and Britton's dad, Catherine's husband, our good friend. How can the Black Shirts get back to their days of domination? What are the keys that are missing to a dominating defense? What would his best game be what would the best game be that I played in? I think it all starts with an attitude. It starts with an attitude. It starts with an attitude in the weight room. It starts with an attitude in practice. It starts with an attitude when somebody's punching you in the mouth, when you're punching them in the mouth. It starts with an attitude when you're taking on a double team, you're doing press coverage, zone coverage, when you're tackling, when you're stripping the ball. It's an attitude. You got to have talent. You got to have strength. You got to have coaching. You got to have a scheme. You got to have backing. You got to have boosters. You got to have money. You got to have an attitude. That's me. All right. What would my best game have been that I played in? Every time we played the Seahawks, when I was in St. Louis, because that was one of our NFC West rivals, every time we played the Seahawks, my best games were in that stadium. The 12th man, Raucous, going crazy. I grew up there. Kids I knew were talking trash to me before the game. I would say that. In college, Pittsburgh, I think I had like 2 or 3 sacks against them on that game and a couple tackles for loss. All right, Phil, my brother-in-law, when did you know you might be able to play in the NFL? After my junior year, 4 games into my junior year. So I'd never dreamt of playing in the NFL, never really thought about it. And I actually kind of was making plans for when I was done in Nebraska, what I was going to do with my business degree that I was going to earn. After my junior year, after 4 games into my junior year, an article comes out in the paper, and I won't name the journalist, said that I had already decided I was going to leave for the NFL early, which I thought was interesting because I literally never thought about playing in the NFL. My dream was to play at Nebraska. And those first 4 games, I did very well. At the end of that junior year, I had a conversation with my dad. I thought about leaving early, but my dream was to play at Nebraska, so I stayed. But reading that article that I was going to declare early when I never thought about the NFL was when it first dawned on me I might have the potential. What player or coach had the biggest influence on you during your career at Nebraska? You know, my dad didn't send in a question for this. And when I asked him on the phone, do you have a question to send in? The first thing he said, the person is my dad. Now I'll explain why. He said, what'd you do with that bike? So I had a bike that was stolen. I used to ride my freshman year to high school, and he always thought I sold it. And so to this day, apparently he still thinks I sold it. But the person is my dad. And even though he wasn't a player or coach in Nebraska, growing up, there was not mass amounts of people that's per se supported me, shall we say. But my dad would tell me, you have this mass potential, you have this ability. And I thought he was crazy. You know those parents who have stars in their eyes and they look at their kids? I was like, whatever, Dad, you just have stars in your eyes. He believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. So a lot of this is credited to him. And I have such high expectations for myself now, just in life, as a father, a husband, in general, for this show. And it stems from him believing in me when I didn't, him being right, me being wrong, and me learning from that. All right. My brother-in-law, Phil, in the 2014 season, Oregon was playing for a national championship. In 2016, they were 4-8 with the same coach. In your opinion, what caused this huge decline in their program? Do you think the new coach, Willie Taggart, will bring Oregon back to the national championship mix? I honestly think Chip Kelly, as bad as he was in the NFL, was a great college coach. And I think losing him was huge. As far as their new coach bringing him back, I think he's going to have them competing for conference championships, but I think USC is really on the rise. I think UCLA is improving. I think Washington is getting back to what they once were in the early 90s, so they got a lot of competition. If you were an AD, still from Phil, at a major program like Nebraska or Oregon, in what season do you think they should be playing for the national championship, or at least in the discussion? Look at Saban, Meyer, Bob, Stoops, Harbaugh. They're usually by year 3. So what year do you think they should be in the national championship conversation? Year 3 is when you want to start competing for championships. Year 4, hopefully you've won something, and maybe by year 5 you're in the major bowl games and you're competing for national championships at that point. So somewhere between year 3 and year 5 I think is realistic. Same goes for our head coach right now, Mike Riley, and I believe those are all the questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week I'll be putting up my fan questions on my Twitter, at AdamCarriker94. You can follow me there, send me your questions there. In the future, I'll also hit up Facebook again with my fan questions. You can follow me at official Adam Carriker. I'm not on Instagram, not on Snapface. See what I did there? But be sure to tune in tomorrow for my gut reaction. Within 30 minutes or less of the Oregon game, I'll be posting my brief, short, emotional gut reaction to whatever happens. It's one of my favorite segments of the week. And the Carriker Chronicles Throw the Bones shirts are here. Check them out on my pinned posts on Facebook, Twitter, and my page at omaha.com/Carriker. Until tomorrow's gut reaction, go Big Red, and always remember to throw the bones.